So it finally began at the picturesque Adelaide Oval as India won the toss and chose to bat in the first test. All the buzz around Indian batsmen dominating the Aussies only lasted for that long as Stark and company ripped through India's top order. Vijay and KL gone. Kohli too, dismissed off a wide-ish delivery from Cummins, who seems to have the skipper's number. By the time fans in India switched their TVs on to revise all the action, India were already 19 for 3. They were soon 41 for 4, but then came in Rohit Sharma with all the intent in the world and played his shots, only to play one too many against Lyon and yet again promise only to perish. The Aussie bowlers were on a roll and the Indian innings seemed going the way we are so used to seeing them hit. Amid all this storm at the other end, there was one Zen-like presence, Cheteshwar Pujara. Unperturbed, unflinching, just kept consuming balls, nudging one here, one there to keep the scoreboard ticking. And just like that, in the process, Pujara not only notched a century, he also dished out a how to bat in Australia 101 guide to every other batsman in the side. All day long, Pujara did what he does the best and flourished, only for him to end his innings trying to steal a run at the fag end of the day. Quite uncharacteristic. That scorecard could have looked much worse had it not been for India's crisis man and his maiden century in Australia. It is now up to the bowlers to first add a few more on board and then make sure that Australia don't get to that. Mohammad Shami was in for a quick changeover as he was dismissed LBW of the first ball of the day by Hazlewood, ending India's first innings at 250 runs. The Australian batsman came out and batted exactly like the Indian ones as Finch played on and saw his timber in tatters. Marcus Harris, the debutant, also perished to Ashwin, and once Ash got a sniff, he wasn't going to stop. One flighted delivery outside Sean Marsh's off stump and Marsh Sr. copied the Indian batsman and played on, aiming to play an expansive drive, extending his poor run of form. Peter Hanscom and Usman Khwaja did try their hand at stabilizing the innings, only for Khwaja to defend one too many of Ashwin and become yet another left-hander to fall to Ash. But amid all of this, there was one batsman who put his head down and decided to grind it out, tackling every question that the Indian bowlers asked of him and ensuring that Australia were never out of the fight. If Ashwin made sure that India's total of 250 didn't seem subpar, Head ensured that there was still hope in the Aussie dressing room. At stumps on day 2, the real fight in this test has just begun. On an overcast morning with the rain falling and adding to the drama, Mitchell Stark and Travis Head got to the job of chipping away at Australia's trail. And they did, only for Bumrah and Shami to get the remaining Australian batsmen out and leave them 15 behind India's first innings score. The Indian batsmen came out to bat in the second innings, and for a change, the Indian opener scored runs, especially KL Rahul, although not in the most test match-like fashion as he would have liked, but runs nonetheless. Only to get dismissed for the zillionth time the moment he was looking promising. And with that went yet another Indian opening partnership in an overseas test. But carrying on from his run in the first innings, Pujara was unperturbed as he went on about his innings in his own way. Aping him at the other end was Virat Kohli, who was happy to defend everything that came his way. In fact, at one point in the partnership, Kohli was scoring at a lesser rate than Pujara. But one defensive shot too many and Virat was on his way, courtesy now the most successful bowler against Kohli in tests, Nathan Lyon. The moment this test seems going one way, the other side pulls it back, and hence, at the end of day 3, India might just have their noses ahead, but Australia would know this is far from over. And that is where rests the beauty of Test cricket. Ajinkya Rahane and Cheteshwar Pujara both started day 4, building on India's already handsome lead and diffusing any sense of optimism that the Aussie attack may have had. But once both of them were gone, Nathan Lyon and company made sure that the Indian tail was wrapped soon. But all of it came at a price as Australia was set 323 runs to chase. The Aussie opener started cautiously and looked promising before the inevitable threat of R. Ashwin struck Finch, who, well, could trust technology over his non-striker sometime for sure. Once the Indian bowlers had a foot in the door, they rammed it open courtesy Shami and Ash, who bowled beautifully in tandem. Shaun Marsh and Travis Head have arrested the slide, but they have a mountain to climb on day 5 if they are to have any other result than an India win. With all the to's and fro's this game has seen, one result seems more probable than others at the end of day 4. And that result is sure to make one side very, very happy. When Shaun Marsh and Travis Head walked out to bat on day 5, needing over 200 runs, there was palpable tension, but also hope in either side's eyes. Marsh started chipping away at the target as Head was dismissed by Ishant. Skipper Tim Paine tried holding fort only to be dismissed by Bumrah too. India were into Australia's tail, one area they've hated all this while in Test cricket. And day 5 was not going to be different. First, Stark and Cummins combined to move closer to the target. Once Stark got out, Cummins combined forces with Nathan Lyon and kept at it. The Indian bowlers, stellar until this point, had started seeming edgy with Australia moving closer to the target. Once Cummins was gone too, you knew India were close. One good ball and it'd be all over. But Lyon and Hazlewood, like warriors of a depleted army, who had lost partners but not hope. They put together 32 runs for the last wicket and brought the game so tantalizingly close, only for Hazlewood to finally edge one off Ashwin and get caught, handing India their first win in the first test of a series down under. After almost 5 full days of engaging Test cricket, India emerged winners, but only by a small margin. While a game like this restores faith in Test cricket, it also sets up the series perfectly.
But batting, and I believe that as Augie rightly mentioned, that both the lineups are very good. The advantage India has is they've got reserve in Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Umesh Yadav, who can straight away come and replace the 3 pacers who played in this game. But I'm not sure how much depth they've got, Australia have got in their bowling department. But having said that, I think it depends on how the batsmen play to their potential. And if you compare the talent of the batsmen, Indian batsmen and the Australian batsmen, there's no doubt that Indian batsmen are more experienced, more established and more talented than the Australian batting lineup. But it's only about translating that talent and potential into performances. And you have to have collective batting performances. You know, you cannot just depend on 1 or 2 batsmen, but you should have at least 3 or 4 batsmen contributing in each innings, which didn't happen in this test match. But going forward, I think whichever batting unit scores above par, especially in the first innings, ends up winning the test match, because the bowlers have just done a fantastic job, and they'll continue to do that because there's so much of class in the bowling department.